Violent crime, not just something the city of Chicago has to endure. You've also got a shooting that happened here in Springfield over the weekend at White Oaks Mall in the middle of broad daylight with one individual injured there. And you have just a rash of headlines that are alarming. And we'll start, of course, with Willowbrook mass shooting has some questioning Illinois' approach to violent crime. And this after you had 23 people shot and one killed out during what's being defined as a Juneteenth celebration, but it was in the overnight hours, seemed to be a pop-up block party of sorts, and a suspect or suspects opened up fire in that crowd. So you have that headline, but it's not just there. You've got a just rash of other headlines. Mass shooting at Southside Park likely caused by personal disputes. According to Chicago Police Department, 2 killed, 3 wounded during a family gathering in Roseland Park. 1 killed, 3 wounded in Ashburn drive-by shooting. Man fatally shot West Pullman fast food restaurant. Man fatally shot on sidewalk in Auburn Grisham. 2 15-year-old boys shot in West Pullman. So again, these are just some of the headlines from over the weekend. What's going on here? Of course, somebody who is very close to the situation in Chicago, William Kelly, the reporter, he joins us now to kind of just review some of the latest here. And we'll also touch on another story about migrants possibly becoming police officers in the state of Illinois. William, thanks for taking time with us this morning. What's the latest? How are people doing up there in Chicago?
Well, first of all, God bless you, and thank you for having me, Greg. I'm just thankful that I haven't been shot. I mean, it's, I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and make no mistake about it, I love Chicago with all my heart, and I intend to stay here and report and try and somehow make a positive difference. But these shootings are off the chart. And what I'm hearing from residents, and I get calls, trust me, as I'm sure you do too, I get calls in the middle of the night, from police commanders who tell me that it's a war zone. There were 20, and that's every weekend, by the way. This is not just a Juneteenth tradition. This is an everyday tradition in the city of Chicago now. But what makes it even more, I guess you could say, discouraging a little bit is, I try not to say a discouraging word. I report the facts, but I try not to be discouraging. But as somebody growing up on the South Side, I always thought of the suburb of Willowbrook as the hinterlands, that was like a Disney fairy tale land where maybe Cinderella and a few dwarfs lived there or something. Well, apparently it's changed. If I thought I was going to somehow, if it even crossed my mind that somehow I would save myself and move to Willowbrook, apparently that is no longer an option. As you just stated, 21 people were shot at a Juneteenth barbecue. Okay, I would be curious to know what the number of shootings were this weekend, this Father's Day weekend in Fallujah. I'm guessing there were less shootings in Fallujah, okay, than in Willowbrook, Illinois.
William, I want to get your reaction here to Governor JB Pritzker's statement and also a state lawmaker who reacted to the governor's statements. And on Twitter, you've got the governor saying that he's closely monitoring the violent shooting that took place in Willowbrook. Gathering for a holiday celebration should be a joyful occasion, not a time where gunfire erupts and families are forced to run for safety. As I've said time and again, gun violence is a public health emergency in the country, and I remain committed to banning these dangerous weapons and making our state safer for everyone. He also goes on to encourage, in another statement, other states to follow suit and to follow the commitments that Pritzker's made. But State Representative Mike Marin, he reacted to that and said, especially to the idea of the ban on certain types of weapons, Marin said that was kind of sold as a way to stop this violence, but is that really happening?
I thought we fixed this. I mean, they claim that they fixed this. We banned assault weapons and we did all this, and that was supposed to fix this, but it didn't. And
so your reaction, William Kelly, to this idea that, the gun ban is supposed to fix this, but we've seen instance after instance of these types of shootings.
One word: shame. Shame on the governor. Shame on Mayor Johnson. These shootings are caused by fatherlessness, a fatherless Father's Day. That is what this is. You can call it Father's Day, you can call it Juneteenth, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but you have a generation or two or three or more that have been raised by the Chicago Public Schools as their only family. And I'm telling you right now, these schools, the Chicago Public Schools, have turned these children into psychopathic killers. Okay, and that is exactly what they are. Zero impulse control, zero empathy. They will shoot a baby, they will carjack a grandma, and they will laugh about it. And by the way, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not even like, okay, they had to shoot the baby because they had to get bread to feed the family. No, there's no rhyme, there's no reason.
William, the other issue that Chicago's grappling with is the influx of migrants from the southern border, non-citizens in the states. Of course, we've talked, and we'll talk a little bit later on this hour, about the cost of taxpayers subsidizing health care, let alone the cost to Chicagoans and also the state taxpayers for housing these migrants. But there's another thing that's on the governor's desk right now, and it would allow for DACA recipients, the so-called Dreamers, to be able to apply and become police officers in Illinois. That bill is on the governor's desk at this moment. Your thoughts?
This is literally the end of law enforcement. Okay, I've told people, and I've experienced this. I've been the victim of multiple violent attacks by multiple offenders. Okay, and the Chicago police, God bless them. I grew up in a cop neighborhood. I'm pro law enforcement, obviously. But the Chicago police are overwhelmed. They can't respond. Every time I've ever been attacked, I've had to be my own first responder. I've told people this over and over and over again, people that I love and care about, not people that I'm trying to, scare or discourage. Opposite, okay, opposite. I have people that I love and care about with all my heart, with my dying breath. I tell them, you are your first responder. You are your only responder. If you enter the city of Chicago, you and only you are your first responder. Well, if we're going to hand out badges and guns now to non-citizens, are you kidding? Only somebody who literally hates the citizens of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and the United States of America would even entertain such an idea. Shame. Shame.
William, of course, people can find more information about your coverage. Where can they find that on Twitter and just online?
Well, William J. Kelly, reporter William J. Kelly on Twitter. ReporterWilliamJKelly.com is the website where they can find all the information about all the shootings and and the migrant issue in the city of Chicago.
William J. Kelly, we'll definitely be talking again in the near future. Be safe up there, okay?
God bless you. Thank you, brother.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And coming back, we'll talk a little bit more about the issue of a law that could be implemented allowing for non-citizens to be law enforcement officers in the state of Illinois. So stay tuned. We'll also open it up for your reaction at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. Stay tuned.
And talk.
Late last month, a couple of reports came out about Chicago police saying that there were allegations of sexual misconduct that were founded, and also police were filing false claims. Pretty alarming reports, and if you drill down and read some of the various instances that were investigated for sexual assault, you had some police officers even facing charges after allegedly sexually assaulting victims, but also getting into inappropriate relationships with victims, and even using some police cameras to zoom in on women inappropriately. But you have the false police reports that also were highlighted by these Inspector General reports. So that's alarming, but other people also looking at a bill that's on the governor's desk that would allow for non-citizens to become police officers in Illinois. And what this does is it ultimately spells out that any immigrant who the U.S. Citizenship and Enforcement Immigration Services have deferred under the Federal Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals process is allowed to apply for the position of police officer, deputy sheriff, or special policeman. So that's House Bill 3751. And you had some reaction to this during debate when it passed. Mary Edley Allen, a state senator who sponsored the measure, she said that some of these migrants are already in certain positions. Why not more?
We currently have many DACA recipients serving in the capacity in our classrooms as healthcare workers and even serving in our military. So I think this would be a natural progression to allow these same people that serve in this capacity to serve our communities.
But State Senator Chapin Rose, during debate, he criticized this measure as unconstitutional.
To arrest and detain a citizen of this state or citizen of any state in the United States to a non-citizen is a fundamental breach of democracy. It is antithetical to the police power of any state.
And even State Senator Neil Anderson also chiming in during debate when this ultimately passed, saying that the state's got its priorities out of whack.
I find this disturbing. I find it distasteful. And the fact that we are passing law that is predicated on federal law changing just shows where our priorities are.
So this measure was sent to Governor JB Pritzker's desk on Friday. He could sign it at any time. Whether or not there'll be a big signing ceremony where questions can be asked, that's unclear. But the governor's got hundreds of bills that he's got to work through. And we'll see ultimately what happens with this particular measure, allowing for non-citizens to become police officers. And it was an initiative brought forward by the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 7. You also had several other organizations, including the Illinois Municipal League, supporting this. The Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, however, still listed as an opponent on the witness slip page for this particular bill. Again, that's now on the governor's desk. So we'll be watching to see when that ultimately is signed and how that's implemented, if it's implemented.